about that is make it hurt.
We back. Well, I'm back. I'm back. There ain't nothing changed. Sometimes you gotta have a double dip. Here I am. What's going on? Once again, welcome to the big time show that is being seen and heard live as we speak right now on several different channels. We are live right now on the Big Time Show Facebook and YouTube page and Twitter page or X, whatever you want to call it. And then we're here again on our TikTok page as well. What's going on tonight? But I believe we're also live on these gentlemen that I have hanging with me on tonight here on the show. Some of you already should know them, and if you don't know them, I promise you, you will before this night is over with. One thing about Cowboy Nation is thick. Do you understand me? Content creators are extremely thick in the area. And we got to have another show here. This is a special show here to me, though, because number one, I got my frat brother here tonight, proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. So you already know when the Noops get together, it's really nothing that needs to be said. If you're a hater of the Kappa Alpha Psi, too bad. I mean, it's only the best. So it's okay, you understand. But if you are not, or if you're not affiliated with that, don't worry about it. And then what I have here is a unique group because it's a father and a son podcast. Their podcast is called Generations2Generation, Cowboys Sports Talk. And I promise you, these two are loaded with knowledge. If you want to just, I'm telling you now, before we even get started, listen, go ahead and just type it in, find it on YouTube right there. You go ahead and follow these guys, and trust me, you know, I don't bring no trash on my show at all. So you know if they're here, you already know they know what they're talking about. So I'm glad to have my frat brother Cowboy Joe is in the house, and his son is here also. The DJ, forgive me, my eyesight too bad. DJ,
I tell you what.
Tell you what, DJ, I tell you what, aka named Jules. We in the building. First things first, got my frat on here. What's going on, Nuke?
Man, I'm doing great. Just so excited to finally make it to the Big Time show. Big Time. Been a fan of yours for a long time. And we decided to get into the podcast game. And you was one of the first people that I started following.
Oh, man.
So it's
I'm
excited.
honored, privileged. Man, happy to have y'all here. This won't be the last time. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that it made it even more great when I found out that she was a noob. So, you know, I was like, I gotta get in touch with this brother because you know how we do it. So
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
so yeah, we've been trying to hook up with you for a while. Just excited. And I told you before, we have a lot in common. And I worked for FedEx for almost 35 years, and of course,
Yeah.
FedEx is Memphis, and
Yeah.
been in Memphis pretty much my whole life. And
Yeah.
enjoyed the great barbecue up there. And I just, like I told you, the
Yes,
Memphis
sir.
barbecue is better than Kansas City. I hope we ain't got anybody from Kansas City listening, but Memphis
You will
barbecue
in a
is the
minute
best.
now. I got a partner in Kansas City might pop on here anytime. But it's a privilege to have
Yeah.
you, man, here, Cowboy Joe, and also to have your son here. Jules, what's up, man?
Oh, nothing, man. This is like I said, like my dad said, it's monumental for us. It's a big thing. A big thing.
Yeah.
We've been talking. I've been watching your show for a long time, especially my dad. You know, we decided
Appreciate
to
it.
get into the podcast game because it's really just all we talk about. You know, me and him. It's really like a constant with us. This
Yeah.
Cowboys thing, and like the podcast name, Generation to Generation. He's a third generation. I believe you're a third generation too, and I will be a fourth generation. So we kind of
Right.
just, you know, this is what we do. This is it. This is what we do. We live and breathe this, and
Right.
this is it. This is what
Yeah.
we love to do. And you know, like I said, I know this is big for him because, you know, he's always watching your show, and I am too. And he's been talking about getting on with you for a very long time. So I know
Man.
this is big for us. So we just
Man, it's
appreciate it.
big for me. Just to be with just some more different voices,
Yeah.
and the more that we unite, and I'm just talking about all content creators,
Mhm.
it's some great ideas that are coming out that we can challenge the Jones family with.
Right.
So I'm excited just to have just hear new perspectives on some things, and
Mhm.
and my show, I never try to be the big guy and the big eye. You know, I'm not that type.
Yeah.
I can get correction while on the show.
Yeah.
And if it's right, I'll change my opinion rather quickly. So I consider this an honor to be with you guys tonight. Y'all have a great show. For those that of course, that do not, as I said before, these guys are lethal. Let me just put it like that. If you listen to them, if you haven't listened to them, you need to check out the catalog on YouTube. And I promise you, you'll be entertained and you'll gain knowledge from a different voice that love the Cowboys just like pretty much all of us do. So let me speak to everybody that's in here so far. Listen, go ahead and share. Hit that like button. Hit that like button, please. Hit that like button. If you know about YouTube, you double tap your screen. Hit that heart button, man. Just smash it just like that. You can give us at least 20 likes before. It won't take them about 6 seconds at least. Do that real quickly and help us out as we try to push content to faces that we usually don't see. Let us help all of us out. Help Generation to Generations show out as well. These people are good, and I promise you, you will find a new. Now, look, don't look at them when I'm on. I'm just kidding.
We really try not to go. We do that. We try not to go on top of you. We really do.
Man, no, man. Good. You got it in this game here. What I done found out, man, you got to get in where you fit in and just go forward, because if we do that, people will pop on at any time, and we ain't gonna do that. You do what you got to do on that, man. It's really like that for real. You just got to get in. People that love you will follow you, and all that type of stuff. They'll leave one show just to come to yours. That's just how it rolls. Listen, guys, we gonna listen to everybody. Listen, we gonna go ahead and pick back up kind of from where I left off this morning. I just want to hear what they have to say, and if they have a topic they want to have, we can all talk about that as well. We're just gonna free flow here. I haven't heard you two. I listened to 2 of your shows. I listened to about 3, I believe, in its entirety. I listened to partial shows you guys had, but I listened to 3 entirely. And just for my family here, let us know. I'll start with you, Nuke. Let me know what you think the state of the Cowboys is going into this off season. Let's roll with that. Jules, thank you. You follow your dad off there, but let me know what you're thinking, Nuke.
So what I want to say is, and just a little bit more about me to answer your question. So I grew up born and raised in Dallas, and as he mentioned, I'm a third generation Cowboy fan. So my first game as a Cowboy fan, I was 5 years old. Went to the Cotton Bowl to see Bob Hayes play for the Cowboys, and then Tony Dorsett's rookie year, I was at the game against the New York Giants when he scored his first touchdown. I saw Tony Dorsett score his first touchdown as a pro. I played high school ball with Chet Brooks, who played for the 49ers. The 92 NFC Championship game where Alvin Harper caught that pass. So I was at that game with Chet, who was on injury reserve. He was on the sideline. I was at that game. And then I had a friend of mine that was, for the most part, a season ticket holder. So the 93 championship game, the NFC Championship game against Green Bay, I was at that game. So that's kind of like my background as a Cowboy fan. I've seen the best of the Cowboys. I know what the standard is. When people talk about the Cowboys, I've pretty much been there throughout the history. So my question is on the state of the Cowboys is we have high standards, and I just really feel like for the last 30 years, this front office, the Jones boys, they kind of have just kind of lost an understanding of what this team actually means and what we represent. And so, really concerned about the way things are going, and hopefully we can kind of get back on track to the standard that we have for winning. But obviously we got a lot of where they handling the cap. I'm not that impressed with our drafting, and that's a sore subject with a lot of content creators. They really like our drafts. I'm somebody that hasn't really been a big fan of our drafting, so that's my concern about the state where we are. So Jules, I tell you what, you can jump in there.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with everything. Shout out to Keystone. I see cap space can be a topic, and we have to talk about who is this?
Buddha.
Buddha saying we have to start creating cap space to make me think we're really trying to do anything. I'm kind of in that. I'm in that same mode, but but I want to piggyback off of what my dad said. Like the state where I think we're at, honestly, right now is my gauge on it is that I think I could be wrong. I call it drinking the Kool-Aid. Sometimes I drink the Kool-Aid to where I just I hope and I wish, So I hope and I wish that they're having a change of heart in the way that they've been running things. Like you said, for the last 30 years, it's just like they've been off their rocker. They haven't been doing what the other teams do, namely the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Ravens. They haven't been doing those kind of things. The 49ers, like for instance, right now, if you look up where do they think Myles Garrett is gonna go, they thinking Myles Garrett has a better chance of going to Philadelphia and Washington than he does here. And so to me, that just speaks volumes on the state of this team. It's like the general public doesn't even think, they don't even put us in the category to try to get big players and do all of this. It's just but I'm hoping that they're having a change of heart because, the Schottenheimer hire, with them going outside of the box, from typically what they normally do as far as how they handle hiring, they kind of went out of the box on this one. Like I said, I could be drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't know. But to me, it seems like they're kind of having a change of heart now. I told my dad, it's 3 phases of this thing with me. The 3 phases are the hiring of the coaches, how they handle the contracts and the off season, and the and the talent acquisition, who they bring in, the free agents, and then the draft. So those 3 dominoes got to fall for me to make up my mind and say that they really had a change of heart. They got to, now the coaches, I feel like they knocked that out of the park. That's what I feel like. Now we're gonna see in a minute what they looking like on the draft, because if they do what they've done the last 2 or 3 years, in my opinion, they really haven't had a draft in a couple years. I mean, the addition of Mozzie Smith and Schoonmaker, and drafting Schoonmaker that high for whatever reason, waiting to sign Dak, waiting, I mean, these last couple drafts, Tyler Guyton, they really just, I don't know what they've been doing. So we're gonna see if they have a change of heart or not, because we picking high, we picking 12.
Yeah.
It's really hard to mess that up.
Yeah.
But they will do it.
Talk.
So
you both of y'all see, there's no right and wrong answer to this. I'm just loving the different perspective of the old school Cowboy fan and then the new Cowboy fan. And I'm not saying you new, I'm just saying but you're younger.
yeah.
And it don't sound too different, which leads to this question, because both of y'all kind of hit an area where I think, I described it as the dark days of the off season. And what I mean by that is, I said, this is the time of the off season where everything solely is in the hands of Jerry and Steven. We've already passed the point, kind of like what you said, Joe. We've already passed the point, and it seems, I will give them credit, it looks like that they let Coach Schottenheimer and Coach Eberflus, they let them pick their own coaches.
Right.
There was no, lingering type dudes. They let them pick their own coaches, obviously. And that's what, at least that's what I think. And they knocked it, as you said, they knocked it out the park. But this, right after that, it happens every year. It is the free agency period. It is the retaining of the players that are free agents that are on the roster. I also throw that in. And then the draft.
Yes, sir.
And when it comes to the draft, that's where I'm going to mix in Will with Clay in the building for that part, because Jerry and Steven are not looking at no film. They're not looking at no tape. They don't know nothing about hand placement, foot movement, cone drills. They don't know nothing about that. It's really in the hands of Will and his scouting department. That's the way I look at it.
Uh-huh.
So this is the time where they mess it up. That's what I'm really trying to get to.
Yes, sir.
So based off of Jerry, as my frat just said, tired of them doing the same thing, I just need to ask y'all, a leopard don't change his spots now. So are y'all optimistic about them really changing? See, everybody listened to Steven, they got excited. And when Steven said, hey, yeah, we need to look at free agency, the way we do things and all that, but they didn't listen to the word he used. He didn't say they were gonna do something. He said they were gonna look.
Yeah.
Look don't mean you're gonna do something. You see what I'm saying? How long is that quote unquote look? Is it 10 seconds and then we go back to the way we've been doing things? And that's the problem that I struggle with, is because I don't see them changing. Really, I see us, signing quote unquote our guys. That's the guys that's the 25 free agents. Not everybody, but you're gonna sign those guys. And then when it comes to free agency, we are gonna get into free agency. But the question is, what day? Is it gonna be day 9 of free agency? Where you get these, I call them pick pack, these Sesame Street free agents where you just get depth, but not impact. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we usually do. And then when it comes to the draft, that seems to be the highlight of the offseason for most Cowboy fans, because of Will, and he does hit on a few. I understand what everybody say, but a few out of about 9-10 picks, that ain't saying nothing. So I get what you're saying on that part. But are y'all optimistic? I mean, what as far as them changing? Because if you're not, then that means that we pretty much anticipating the same thing, right? Whichever one want to jump in.
So I think we have some deadlines that we can look at that's going to really address where we are. So the first one is March 10th. That's when free agency begins. So we're just going to we got a GPS on Steven and Jerry. They typically go on vacation when free agency starts, which is pretty interesting. And they brag about it, which is kind of weird. And so first we're gonna see big time. Are they in town? Are they at the store? Or are they on vacation?
Right.
Because it's gonna happen. And so we're gonna know whether our optimism is valid, whether our pessimism is valid. And one of the things I like about me and my son's show is because we're different generations. He and we don't always agree. So
Yeah.
he's a big numbers guy. I'm not a numbers guy. I just I want playmakers. He looks at the numbers. He likes guys that run great routes. I'm looking for the guy that just makes the play. So, but to answer your question, it's going to be March 10th, and then we're going to have that April deadline. So we're looking at where are they located on March 10th? Are they in Dallas? Or are they out of the country on the yacht? And then the other one is Micah's contract. We're going to start hearing some really probably good indicators as we kind of get closer to March and April on what they're doing with Micah, because if they don't get Micah signed early enough, everything that we're talking about, we're just looking at a repeat of last year, how they did Dak's contract. But the thing that I am hopeful for is that new media, yourself, some of the other content creators, Boss Cowboy, shout out to Boss, Henry the Moore, Landlord. I think for the first time, Steven is being put in a position where he has to respond. And so the optimism that I do have is just based on he can no longer hide. The veil is coming off. So, but we're going to find out how this is going to go on March 10th and then going on from there.
Yeah, so I totally agree. And I'll bring it back to what you said earlier, Big Time. You said that with all of the content creators, you made a comment. You said with all of the content creators, everybody coming together, everybody pushing the same narrative, and that narrative will hopefully get the Jones boys' attention. And so, just like he just said, I think that I'm optimistic because of the content creators of the spotlight, how social media has I don't want to say taken over, but it's driving narratives. Like, for instance, like Luka just got traded. That messed up the whole city of Dallas. I mean, it's billboards being put up, but that normally doesn't happen like that. Where you just see it, just like it's just in your face. And so I noticed when they did the Schottenheimer interview, normally the legacy media, they don't really be asking the Jones the kind of questions that we would ask them, because they have a job to keep. They can't make the right person mad. But you can structure these questions to ask them in a way to where it's not disrespectful or it's not on fire, so to speak. And that's what they were doing. They were asking questions that I would ask. And so, soon as Steven put his air quotes up and said, "Oh, we're going on this drought," the internet was set on fire after that. So it's just like, "Oh, so you don't agree that it's a third-year drought? You don't see that?" Because that's the truth. I mean, we are the only team in the NFC that hasn't been to a conference championship in the last 30 years. I mean, we're not making that up, Steven. So it's just like, so stuff like that is giving me optimism that it's like, okay, you can't wait to sign Dak. You can't wait to sign Micah like you waited to sign Dak and then say, well, we don't have any cap space, or we can't sign Derrick Henry because we don't have any cap space, because we know it's a million people out here that can be GMs better than y'all are being GMs. Wow. We can go on to overthecap.com and see the contracts. I mean, we can go on Spotrac and we can see them. So we know how much cap can be created by doing what.
There you go.
So so like my dad said, we know that when March 10th comes, if y'all waiting to sign Micah, we know what's happening, because we know that you can create X amount of dollars by signing Micah early. You know this, and AJ Brown, he made a comment last week on a podcast where he said that he felt like the cap for the Eagles did not exist. He said I feel like the cap is just, we don't really have a cap because we get whoever we want whenever we want. All we got to do is we just get them. So it's just like you got players for the Eagles, our rivals, saying that after they just won a championship when they got Saquon, and we needed a running back just like they worse than they did. And we had the money to sign Derrick Henry and Saquon, but we did. And then we had to hide behind Steven saying, well, Jerry said, well, we don't have enough. We didn't have enough. We can't afford it. Well, my dad doesn't like for me to say that was a lie.
But he was.
It's just a flat out lie. So it's just like, like I said, I'm optimistic because it's just like, I mean, if the spotlight is on you this much and you don't act on it, well then I mean it's just it's at this point it's like sabotage. You really don't care. I mean because you have to do something. We have to be optimistic. And I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna let the OGs go. Will McClay. Now I'm not a big Will McClay fan. I feel like all of the draft picks that we have, like, that are good, are like slam dunk picks that anybody would make. Of course, you're gonna take Michael Parsons. Of course, you're gonna take CeeDee Lamb if he falls to you. Of course, you're gonna take Trayvon Diggs. Of course, you're gonna do all of that. I mean, but also we have to look at, like, we do hit every now and then on someone like Bland, but also we have to look at the draft, the war room. 2 years ago, they put the camera on the war room and they asked Will McClay, who would you want to take right here over Matthew Bergeron and Mozzie Smith? They asked him that, and he said we should take Mozzie because we don't never take defensive tackles this high. Going back to your point, how they do the line in the first round of the draft. So Will McClay said that, and then he also let them draft Schoon and Tyler Guyton. And so we got to look at that. It's just like the Cowboys have a serious problem when it comes to talent acquisition. To me, they don't look at, Will McClay doesn't do a good job at saying that this guy will work for us. I mean, we can literally just go grade the drafts. This is not like an opinion. We can go we can pull up Wikipedia and look at the drafts and grade them. We can do that, and we can just look and see that Tyler Guyton is this close from being a bust. Okay, Mozzie Smith was the talk of the town last year, saying that he was going to be able to come on with it. Schoon was drafted in the second round. He got one touchdown this year, maybe two. So I mean,
how much time do we really get? Go ahead.
I'm just saying, and then we just go on down the line, and it's just like we can just look at these picks and these players that they passed up on, and how come Tampa Bay was able to get Bucky Irving, but we wasn't able to? Well, and so it's just to me, it's just so many ways to look at it to where they not meeting the mark.
I love it. Before I say what I have to say on this, I need everybody to go to YouTube and subscribe to their channel. Obviously, they know what they're talking about, as I've already said. Some of you have already seen these guys before, so you already know what to expect from them. Solid team, father and son team. Know what they're doing on Generation2Generation Cowboys podcast and Sports Talk podcast. I'm sorry. You need to really go ahead and follow them, as you know, and their family. And I'm trying to just make sure that everybody is aware of these voices. We need these type of voices. Let me answer this real quick. My fraternity brother just said that he said that we know on March the 10th what's going on. I want to say, Newt, that is before then. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but as of right now, I think all we have is $4 million to spend, if I'm right about that, in the cap for the right now. So you gonna go ahead, Jules.
No, I
Am
think
I
you're
right
right.
about that?
I'm gonna look it up and make sure.
Yeah, and pop me in real. I mean, just go ahead and talk over me when you find it. But you're going to have to create cap space, even if it's not for the prime free agents. You understand? So we need you, even if you're going to get what I call the bottom tier, bottom of the barrel free agents. You know you're going to have more than $4 million. You know that. So you're going to have to create the cap space if you want to play with the big boys as far as free agency goes. You're going to have to create the space, and you need to do that now. If you're going to sign Micah, you need to go ahead and create it now. You can do that. They're on the contract. You can do that at any time. So everybody knows, as Jules was saying, hey, even as my frat was saying, Cowboy Joe, he said, both of them really saying the same thing, and I'm just gonna tag team with them. Listen, everybody knows, because all these content creators have already said it. If you restructure Dak and CD by itself, it's $98 million.
Yeah, it says
100
that.
million.
Now I'm looking at. I got two answers. I'm looking at overthecap.com, and Over the Cap says we have 2.4 million in cap space for 2025. That's what it says right now.
Right now, as we speak, that's live and in color.
2.4.
You're gonna have to do something quick. I mean, before you even start zeroing in on even with the free agents that we have, you're gonna have to go ahead and do it. I mean, you ain't got but two, according to what Jules just said. You ain't got but 2 million. Come on now. We need to do it, but everybody knows that if you restructure Dak and CD, that is dang near $100 million in cap space. Duh. All you gonna do is restructure them, give them their money as a signing bonus, and get the number that you need as they hit on the cap. Dak Prescott is $89 million, I believe. On the cap is a cap hit. You know you got to do. What are you waiting on? You know you got to do something. This is obvious. We don't need to wait till the last minute. The kid Cowboy, you're wrong. You ain't, if you let Dak be a $89 million cap hit on this year's cap, you will not have any money to really sign practice squad guys. For real.
He has to restructure.
He has to restructure. That is a no doubt on him. But you can create all this money in order to either get in the game of free agency, or you definitely gonna have to do that in order to sign everybody else. Practice squad. Guys, you got to have money just in case somebody get injured so you can go get another free agent. You got to sign all your rookies that you're about to draft. You got to sign all these guys. You're gonna have to do that. You got the players, you can restructure Steele. You can restructure Diggs. You'll be well over the cap. And I said this earlier today, that listen, just in case anybody hadn't noticed, listen, y'all, if you're talking about winning, then you need to do all what we're saying. But if you're talking about rebuilding, you still gonna have to restructure because you got to sign some of these folks.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to do it. But just in case you ain't noticed, for instance, the Commanders have over $100 million, and they're playing with a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. Please understand that Washington is fit to go for the throat.
They are.
That is no question. So if you're talking about staying competitive within your own division, you're gonna have to do something different because Washington will pass you on by. It's really that simple. Philadelphia, they understand the salary cap just about better than anybody. Because all I heard was once you sign your quarterback, you can't get nothing else. Well, Philly been getting everybody else ever since they signed Jalen Hurts. I don't understand it. You see what I'm saying?
AJ Brown said he feel like there is no cap.
Exactly. They signed AJ. They signed Devontae. They drafted well. They got Saquon. I thought that you can't get nobody after you sign your quarterback.
And
so
then,
go ahead.
I'm gonna point this out. I wanted Cowboy fans to look at this because I had showed this to my dad on one of our shows. When you look at, like, if you go to like overthecap.com and you look at the Cowboys contracts, you can see all of the contracts, and like you just said, you hit it on the nail. Everybody that you named is who they would have to restructure. Like Dak has an $89 million cap hit next year. CD has 35. Micah has 24 if they don't sign him, and then Terrence Steele has 18. Diggs has 14. But what I was pointing out to my dad was that when you go look at the Eagles contracts, all of their players, all of them make $1 million
On the cap.
on the cap. Yeah, it's just like one.
Yeah.
So
That's how you do
whatever
it.
they doing, they got it figured out.
It's not hard. You give what look, you go out to pay the money to that anyway. It's a guaranteed contract. Some of that stuff is guaranteed.
Yep.
He ain't gonna turn you down if you give him a gigantic portion as a sign for right there the restructuring of the contract. Y'all give him his money and then make your cap hit wherever you want it to be, because that's your business. He ain't gonna turn down no $50 million contract, for restructuring. He don't care nothing about that. That only helps the team out. It's really common sense, but no, common sense ain't common, is it?
It's not. And what Jerry needs to do at this point, or he's going to have to just make a decision. I think what he needs to do is he needs to have someone else come in and run the cap. Steven and Adam Pacifica. Adam Pacifica is one of the guys that runs the cap. He's an ex restaurant manager. So that's one of the things that Jerry needs to do, like real quick, is have someone else come over. And all he has to do is just come in and get someone to look at the 49ers, the Ravens, the Eagles. I have a project manager background, and I have a history of just doing analysis. And one of the things that frustrates me about the Cowboys operation is you could get somebody fresh out of college with a degree in business to just go in and just look at their operation and see what they're doing wrong. That's what I did every day at my job. I looked at reports, looked at all types of different analysis, and so their cap management, somebody over there has to be able to tell them, what we're doing is not working, and be able to come in and let them know how to restructure this cap. And you're right, they can do it tomorrow. They're going to have to do it. And so he has to look at the NFC East. I'm glad you mentioned that. We're old school. I looked at this the other day. The NFC East has 14 Super Bowls. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the Eagles just won another one. The Commanders got $100 million in cap space, and they got Magic Johnson. And we all know how Magic Johnson rolls. He's not going to accept anything less than competition and winning at the highest level.
Wow.
So said all that to say this: if Jerry doesn't understand quickly what's going on, the NFC East is back. The NFC East is finna go old school. You're gonna have to go through Philly. You're gonna have to go through Washington, and then the Giants. They're getting ready to get a good pick. So we're about to be left in the dust if they don't make a sea change and figure out. But it all starts with the cap. If he doesn't get Steven, it's gonna be hard for him to do that to his son. But if they were smart big time, they would just make these changes behind the scene, and we wouldn't even know they being made. And you'll just see that the cap is being done a different way. But the NFC East is back, and we finna get left in the dust. And Jerry, look again. I think at this point he's almost becoming a mascot. I really believe Steven is running it. But he may just have to have that come to Jesus meeting with his own son and say, we're not going to be able to do anything until we get someone else to come in and take over this cap. That Adam Pacifica, just assign him to another department, keep it moving. But if we don't get that straightened out, we're not going nowhere.
So to piggyback off of what you're saying, I want to ask all the Cowboy Nation and everybody watching. Now, when you see the Cowboys, you think about world class. I'm talking about when you drive through Frisco, when you drive through the Star area, the buildings are off the chain. You can see the practice fields from the freeway.
They call it the $1 billion mile.
$1 billion mile, and it looks like $1 billion mile. It just looks like a whole city. And then the stadium, it's state of the art. It's probably still the best stadium, and it was built a long time ago. So Let me ask you this: do y'all think that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones is sitting in there making these decisions on these $1 billion projects and these $1 billion businesses? I don't think so. I think they have a team of people that is doing that for them. Do they do the marketing themselves? I don't think so. I think they probably pay an agency or someone else, the best in the business, to
That's
do
smart
that.
business. That's
Yeah,
smart business.
exactly, to do that for them. So why can't they do why can't they do the football team the same way? Do you do we think that now Steven went to school for what did he go to school for? What did Steven
He was a
He was
oh my God. Forgive me on that. He was
he wasn't in
he was
oil and gas. He was an engineer.
engineer.
he wasn't in accounting.
I think he's a chemical engineer.
Yeah, he's a chemical engineer. He
Yeah.
wasn't in accounting. So what is he doing? What is
And Adam Pacifico ran a restaurant.
so what is going on? Why do they think that they can just? I mean, and
I love it.
and we know that Jimmy was the GM when he was here. So I mean, so what can we point at to say that you all are good at this? We can't point at anything.
No.
I mean, so the rubber has met the road. You know,
Let me add and just say to further my point, y'all, about Washington. Washington, everybody talking about Philly, and Philly won the title this year. You know, they're the world champions. That's good. But I'm telling y'all, Washington is the team you better be looking out for. Because Josh Harris, who's the owner of the Washington Commanders, this is not his first team, just in case y'all didn't know. Let me tell y'all. He was the owner of Philadelphia. Philadelphia ain't won the title, but I'm just saying he has experience. He was the owner of the New Jersey Devils, in which they won a championship. Then he was an owner of Joe Gibbs Racing, where they won NASCAR championships. And then now he is the owner of Washington, and then he brought Magic in. Please don't underestimate that. Magic has won, obviously playing, but he was the owner of a WNBA franchise that won. He is the part owner of the Dodgers, who just won the World Series. He's the owner of a soccer team that won a championship. In other words, Magic Johnson knows championships.
he's a winner.
He's a pure winner, know how to get it done, knows the blueprint, and obviously it works in any sport. The reason why I'm telling y'all this, if you give Magic Johnson, Josh Harris something as easy as a rookie quarterback contract, and now they got to play with $100 million, what in the world you think they about to do? They're about to load that gun up. Do you understand me? And they're going to have the money to entice folks to come. And then they got a coach who everybody seemed to want to play for, and Dan Quinn.
All our players gonna leave here and go there.
I mean, it's practically Dallas Cowboy West right now in Washington. You let Jordan Lewis leave. You let DeMarcus Lawrence leave. And I'm telling you, they gonna migrate that way, and they have the money to do it. That's the team that you really need to be looking at. But what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to this, is why it's almost like we gonna be asking too much, because this is stuff they just don't practice. And it's going to be hard. And some things that are so easy to figure out, such as restructuring, you shouldn't be waiting at all. I should be seeing right now on the ticker from ESPN saying breaking news. The Dak Prescott contract restructured. CD Lamb contract restructured. Terrence Steele, all these folks, Diggs restructured. I should be saying this like now. So that's to go back to your dad. This is when I'll know if we really serious about, I ain't got to wait to March 10th. Because there ain't no sense in you talking about free agency if you ain't got no money.
I ask my dad all the time, why isn't Micah signed yet? Like, what's the
problem?
Why isn't he signed? I mean, because Amon-Ra St. Brown and the rest of the people that was drafted with him, like Patrick Surtain, he signed already.
Yeah.
So why
unless you're not, when it comes to Micah, some would try to compare Micah slightly to Dak, and it's totally different.
Yeah,
I've been one and they shut me up. I will admit it. I've been wanting to say that Jerry never fully believed in Dak Prescott. And what I mean by that is when he
I
talked
agree
about
with I
Tony
agree with that.
Romo, he said Tony Romo is a guy that can bring us a Super Bowl. When it came to Dak, it recently just started. All we heard about Dak was he's a great leader. People will follow him. That's pretty much what you just heard. He's a great leader, great in the locker room, great in the community, but you really never heard them say anything about him on the field until recently, trying to justify them giving him the money. They changed all that. Obviously, they believe in him because you don't pay a guy that amount of money if you don't believe in him. I will, draw back on that. But when it comes to Michael Parsons, it ain't nothing to think about. You believe in him. We already know what he's all about. I mean, he's a dog. That's the bottom line. You don't have to wonder about his ability. You don't have to wonder about him. He's getting the job done ever since he came to the Cowboys.
He's the best player on your team.
He's the best player on your team. All pro every year, with the exception of last year or something like that. This dude is the truth. You know what I'm saying? And he's not even in his prime. He's not even in his prime at all. So you got to go ahead and just check that out on that part. So, the more we talk, I ain't gonna even lie to you, man. I'll know before March 10th, whether we really serious or not. Because you can't play. You can't play. Hey, Big Country, Bulls Camp, what's up? Memphis, Tennessee in the house. My home guy in the building. Right here, so I got to shout him out real quick. What's going on, Memphis? We here in the building. Listen, you can't play in any fashion. Well, you can, but I'm saying, but you way over the cap, and then you might wait until last minute to do it. So I don't know. I think they're kind of stuck in the middle, kind of like. And forgive me if I'm, correct me. I believe they're kind of in the middle. They're straddling the fence.
Yeah.
They want to win.
They do.
But then they want to rebuild too at the same time.
They trying to pull that off.
Well, let me say this right here about the rebuilding thing. So we kind of heard this talk about them trading Micah for some picks and whatnot. My thing with that is if you trade Michael Parsons, you're not trying to rebuild. You're tapping out. You're quitting. Yeah. That's not a rebuild move. You're just basically saying, I don't want to play. And I think a lot of the problems with the Cowboys, Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones, is they don't really want to roll up their sleeves and do the work and do the grunt work, dig it out of the mud the way the Ravens, the 49ers, the Chiefs, those teams, they're fairly conservative. They don't do a whole lot in free agency. They don't do a whole lot of trades. They just do the smart things. And so with the Cowboys, the problem that they're having is they just can't do the simple things of running a franchise. It almost appears like they don't really want to just roll up their sleeves and do the work. So this Micah talk of trading him, that's not a rebuilding move. That's I'm quitting. That's I'm tapping out. That's what that is, because for you to get him signed and get him signed early to do that work, to put the work in, it requires you to work. And I think, unfortunately, for them, it's just a lot of laziness when it comes to their front office. Now, the other thing that we got to kind of be realistic about real quick, big time, is at some point, we have to just say that they don't really know what they're doing. We keep hearing a lot of stuff about their strategy, and they want to be in the media, and they doing this and doing that. Sometimes you just got to just keep it real and just say they're just not good at what they're doing. When they first bought the team back in 1989, the media here, the legacy media here, people in Texas, we kind of have this complex. We think we're better and bigger than everybody else. So they were not from here. They were from Arkansas. And one of the things that the writers here at that time, the OG writers, they kept saying that they were not football guys because they didn't really like the fact that they didn't really put the work in to become football people. The football guy was Jimmy and his folks. And so what they kept saying about Jerry and Stephen was they are not football guys. I think what's happening 30 years later is come full circle. At the end of the day, what you're talking about, the way the cap needs to be handled, what they need to do. Sometimes we just got to be honest with ourselves and just say they're not football guys. They don't really know what they're doing.
Wow.
And that's just kind of where we are. So
And kind of
we got to start being honest about who they are.
Yeah, and to kind of tap on that, and that's why my dad, he always keeps me optimistic, because sometimes I just have nothing but negative things to say, and I won't have a positive outlook. But there is optimism, and there is a positive outlook, and we're gonna ride this thing till the wheels fall off. So it don't matter either way. But to tap on what my dad was saying, if you can go back now, I I was googling. I was trying to find out how I could find who's interviewing who. So I ended up finding a transaction counter on NFL.com. So you can go on NFL.com and you can look at the transaction counter, and you can see who is all interviewing for what position and on what team. Like it'll say offensive coordinator, and it'll tell you every person that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Dallas Cowboys, it'll tell you every person that they interviewed for that position. Then it'll tell you when they got hired. It does that for offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach, GM. It does it for all of that. What you would see that the other teams, they interviewing 15 people for their head coach position. They interviewing 15, 20 people for their offensive coordinator. They doing it. They that was consistent. But when you look at the Cowboys, they interview one person,
Wow.
two maybe. Like for instance, last year when they hired Mike McCarthy, they did Marvin. Is it Marvin Harris or Marvin Lewis?
Marvin Lewis.
Marvin
They
Lewis.
did Marvin Lewis
That was for the Rooney Rule.
for the Rooney Rule,
Mhm.
and then that was it. They hired McCarthy. That was it. And then before that, what was it? Jason Garrett. When
Mhm.
they did the Jason Garrett, what they interviewed, well, they
They didn't have
hired,
to interview. He was already described as the coach in waiting.
right.
He was with Wade Phillips.
Same thing. Even with Wade Phillips, when I even went back then to try to figure out who they interviewed when Wade Phillips got the job, and it was just like it wasn't nobody. They constantly do this. Now this time around, they had about 4 people, but they still hired from within. Now, Shotty is like a CEO type of guy, and we can look at the pros and cons of Shotty, and the pros outweigh the cons, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's cool, but did we want to see them roll their sleeves up and interview Aaron Glenn and everybody else
Ben Johnson, yeah.
we wanted to see that, and then you had coaches like Belichick that was saying like, man, if they would have called me, I would have loved to take the job. I would have took it, but they didn't call me. It's just like, it's like you see this like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was like, man, I would have loved to play for the Cowboys. I mean, I lived there, but they didn't. My phone ain't ringing up. They ain't even called me.
They ain't pick up the phone.
So it's just like they not doing the work, and it's just like, you want to interview. My dad tells me all the time, when you interviewing for a position, you want to interview as many people as you can, because you never know. You might have 30 interviews, and then that last interview, he blow your socks off, and that'd be your guy. Like the Steelers, like Mike Thomas, they interviewed several people, and he was the last person, and he turned out to be the best coach that they've had for now that's before my generation, but from my understanding, he's their most winningest coach, right? So he was the last coach that got interviewed for that position. He was just, they had already picked someone else to be the head coach, but he was the last person. The Cowboys don't follow that kind of philosophy. They don't do that. This year, I told my dad, we had this podcast that we did when we was trying to figure out who the next head coach was going to be. We had about 15, 20 people. And I told my dad, I said, we're going to do all of this. The person that they going to hire ain't even on this list. I could promise you that. And that came true. They ain't even interviewed none of them people. They ain't interviewed none of them, So You know, they gotta want to do the work. And so what I like about where the optimism comes in for me is that these coaches like Clayton Adams
Yes,
and
sir.
these and Eberflus, they don't want to lose.
Mhm.
They coming in to win. Shoddy, he got some big shoes to fill. His dad, Marty Schottenheimer, he's one of the greatest. So he don't want to lose. So hopefully they're not gonna just bring him in here and set him up like that. And
No, he gonna
hopefully,
give it his all
right,
because he just saw Mike McCarthy get fired predominantly as a winner. I ain't he win the Super Bowl,
right,
but you can't dismiss his regular season record. But he let that go, so
yeah,
he ain't coming in to lose because it's his first gig
right.
as a head coach. Well, he's coming along with that. Let me transition. Man, I'm having so much fun. Listen again. I told you guys these guys are fire. I love the content. This is their channel. I need you guys to go ahead and subscribe to that. If you're not familiar with them, well, you should be now because you're hearing them now. You know they loaded, and this is what they do. So this is very natural for them. It's natural for me to talk to them because we almost speaking all the same language. Let me transition just slightly, and we might maybe we might finish up with this because this is gonna take some time. Really, because I know this, and I think we all may have different answers to this. So based on what I'm hearing, and I don't disagree with a lot of what you said at all. It sounds like to me that once again we are putting all our eggs, because I don't trust them when it comes to free agency. I trust them to go get some of our guys, like the Jordan Lewises and that type of stuff. Our guys. I believe in that. But as far as outside free agents, I don't see it. Not no big names, you know what I'm saying? But we'll get some depth chart, guys.
Yeah.
I believe that's gonna happen. So if that is the case, then that means that we're putting all our eggs in the basket once again to the NFL draft. That's this draft and developmental stage that we've been doing for God knows how long. That's what it's sounding like to me. So on that note, and we do have a lot of holes. You really can't go wrong. I just want to, because I haven't heard this from you guys. I haven't heard it. So this will be my first time. What do you feel like? And I know we really can't say it because we don't know how the board is going to fall. But at 12, I figure we're going to have a lot of options if we stay at 12. And with a lot of different positions. Even if some of the main guys don't fall to us, we still going to have a lot of options there. A lot of people want to go with Genty. I don't think Genty would be there personally. I think that 10, the Bears are there, and give Williams a running back, and they can grow together. And with the young receivers they got, Genty would fall perfectly to a place like Chicago. He looked, you know what I'm saying? It just looks like it. He'll immediately help them. And then the 49ers scare me at 11.
Oh my God.
Because the rich, I said this today, the rich would get richer. The only reason why the 49ers were not in it is because they were hurt. If they were healthy, they would have been, in the fight too, no question. You can't lose all them people that they lost and then think you still gonna, do what you do. So, and then I threw up, it just hit me. While I was talking about the 49ers, I said, you notice that when when McCaffrey came back, he got hurt again and he missed it. Nobody ain't said absolutely nothing about McCaffrey since. All right. And nobody knows where his body really is. He just about missed the whole year. Had to go overseas, get a little work done. And now he's back. But nobody don't know really, McCaffrey's been playing a pretty good while. And I said, man, what if Genty went to the 49ers with Cal?
I think that's a very big possibility.
And that, man, look, the rich would get richer. and that would be scary. So everybody talking about Gente and all that. That may not even be the way the Cowboys go. They may have the mindset saying there are plenty of good running backs in the draft. We can go ahead and draft running back in the second round, third round, whatever the case may be. Let me hear y'all, because I just want to know I know everything is the priority, but what do you feel like? Because y'all know the game. What is the priority, Nuke, that we need to be looking at just at pick 12? I know Zach Martin retired, and you may feel like we need to, boost up the offensive line. There's no wrong or right answer, but what are you feeling about at 12? I know it's kind of hard because we can't see we don't know where the board gonna fall. But what do you think? What direction we really need to go?
So I'm on team weapons. I think we don't have enough weapons on our team for Dak. So I want guys that are just going to come in and just jump off the screen, come in ready to play. This draft and develop thing, that's not where we are right now. We really don't have time for that. We don't have time for projects. So in the first 3 rounds, preferably at 12, if Gente is there, I'm hoping Tet falls. I would be okay also with moving up for Gente or Tet. Believe it or not, I also like Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. So my overall thought is that with our first 3 picks, we have to come out of this draft with a receiver and a running back. I'm not really particular about what round it's in. Obviously, if Gente is there, you take him. But I want to say this. I don't believe our number 2 and number 3 receiver are on the team, Nuke. I think we got a 1, which is CD. I think Tolbert and Mingo, in my view, they're competing for the number 4 receiver. Our number 2 and number 3 are not on the team, so we got to come out of this draft with, Ibuka, Luther Burton, Trey Harris. It's a lot of receivers there that I like, so we got to get one of those receivers. And then the backs, to me, the draft is deep, so you can get a running back first, second, or third round. They're all going to be good picks, and then you can mix in a defensive lineman. I don't actually believe myself that the offensive linemen that are available, I don't think you're gonna be reaching taking one at 12. But my biggest thing is running back and receiver. I don't believe our number 2 and number 3 receiver are on the team. I want to see us draft one. I would like to kick the tires on Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, because we need a veteran in the locker room. But that's the direction I want to see them go in, and a receiver, running back. Now, last thing I'm gonna say is I'm real big on taking the best player available. If you get to 12 and Larry Allen is there or Reggie White is there, you take them. You got to. But beyond that, I'm looking for a receiver and a running back is what I'm hoping we come away with.
Wow. Talk to me, Jules.
Yeah, we on the same page when it comes to that. And that's usually like a 4th generation thing. I think the younger guys like myself, we like the weapons aspect. We would draft a running back or a receiver every first round pick if we could. But I'm always best player available. Like he said, if Larry Allen is there, you take him. But in my eyes, you want the best weapon for Dak. I feel like our defense we have a good solid base on our defense. And I feel like our O-line with the new offensive line coach, I was telling my dad that I would like to see them go in another direction with Terrence Steele and save the money by cutting him. But my dad was just like, nah, they should just keep Steele. So if you're gonna keep Steele, you don't need to go offensive line in the at the beginning of the draft. You're picking too high. I told my dad, like, what Michael was picked number 12, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get the same thing on offense. That same type of caliber of player, the same type of weapon. Just like Micah is a weapon on defense, he changed his whole team. He changed the whole defense by himself, and he was a 12th pick. So I want them to be able to do the same thing, but on offense. So I'm looking at Ted. I'm looking at Luther. I'm looking at Gente if he's there. I'm looking at nothing but straight weapons. Now, if something was to happen and one of those defensive tackles from Michigan, the top one, not Grant, but the
Mason
other
Grant.
one, yeah,
Grant.
not
Grant.
well. Grant is rated lower than the other one.
Yeah, you talking about Mason Graham though.
Yeah. Mason Graham is there. Oh, you gotta get him. You gotta take him. If that cornerback from is it he from Michigan too?
Yes, Will
Michigan.
Johnson.
If Will Johnson is there, you kind of gotta take him. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I want to do wide receiver or running back. I really hope Genty is there. I think Genty gonna be there because I don't think nobody else is gonna take him that high. I think they're gonna let the Cowboys do that because most people gonna think that that's a mistake. But I would say that I think that if you had to take a wide receiver or a running back, the wide receiver is gonna be more bang for your buck because you're probably not gonna give Genty a second contract, but the wide receiver, you're gonna have to give Ted a second, probably. I mean, if they come out, like, to me, I look at Ted like he's good as CD was when he was in college. So if you have two CDs on your team, well, one is taller, I mean, that's hard to beat. And everybody's saying how just not last year, but the year before last, Dak and CD was almost unstoppable. Together they was really unstoppable because everybody knew what was happening. You knew we only had one big receiver threat, but for some reason they couldn't do nothing with him. So if you can add that to the other side for Dak, I'm with that. And then I tell my dad this too. When I'm doing these things in my head, I'm also utilizing free agency too. When I'm utilizing trades and everything, I'm not just saying, "Oh, I would draft Genty and then not do anything." No, I would draft. I would draft Genty, and then I would try my best to get Tyreek Hill on my team, or someone like that, or vice versa. If I have to draft Tech, then I'm trying my best to get a second round running back, or I'm trying to trade for a running back, or get one, like Raheem Mostert or whoever else is out there. But I'm utilizing the whole tree, as we like to say. Me and my dad like to say, we utilize the whole tree. And the Joneses typically they pick from one tree. They just do the draft and development. That's one tree. But you got the Eagles and everybody else. They use this tree, that tree, that tree, that tree, and we just over here using one tree. So I utilize all trees. So I'm gonna try my best to get a running back or a receiver, a weapon, or Tyler Warren, like he said, because he's a weapon. I want a weapon, someone that can put points on the board when they get the ball every time. We know that if we were to draft someone like Ted, or we were to draft someone like Genty, when they get the ball in their hands, they have a higher probability of putting 6 on the board than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So
explosive.
Yeah, they're explosive. So I want weapons. That's what I want. We lack weapons. We only have the only people that scare us on offense is CD, and outside of that, maybe Ferguson will probably scare another team. But when you're coaching against the Cowboys, when they doing their defensive assignments, that coach is saying, "Hey guys, number 88, that's the guy we got to stop. And number 4 gonna get the ball to 88. That's who we got to stop." So we need more of that. We need more of that because when you on defense, when you on offense, and you coaching against the Cowboys, you got to find where Micah at. You got to find where Bland at. You got to find where especially with Overshawn healthy, you got to find where Overshawn at. You got to find where Jordan Lewis at. You got to find also DeMarcus Lawrence, if he's playing, you got to watch him because he can do something. So you got all these options on defense, but when it comes to offense, you just got CD. That's it. So I'm weapon.
My thing is that the kind of, I don't see nothing wrong with what you said, but my thing is that's more of a philosophy change to the Jones, because they're used to doing it a certain way. The rest of the league is practicing getting weapons. Just go around. I ain't got to go to the world champions, the Eagles. I can just think of somebody like Miami. They go get Tyreek. They got Jalen Waddle. They even went and took a chance and go get Odell Beckham. They got running backs. Everybody can hit the head on the goalpost real quick.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying they win it, but I'm saying the thirst to get those type of guys.
The philosophy.
Philosophy. Cincinnati. Chase, T. Higgins. Tight end, forgive me for not knowing his name. That's good stuff. You see what I'm saying? That's why you got a great quarterback in Burrow, and they say we're just gonna load this gun up real good with some nice bullets.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go play football. We may give up 35, but we gonna score at least 35, 36. We might give up, we might give up 37, but we gonna score 36 at least.
Yeah.
And that's the way to go. I'm saying everybody is trying to get 2 number ones, for wide receiver.
Yes.
They trying to make sure they got a good running back. Philly, I ain't got to say nothing.
Oh my goodness.
Philly is just skill position everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. And we still only coming out, as Jules just said, with one weapon.
Yeah.
It ain't hard for a defense to say, okay, it's simple. Double team, let somebody else beat you. And I see these still put his numbers up. But it's not hard when you got Brandon Cooks. God bless him. But he's nobody scared of him no more. They're not scared of the speed. They're not scared of none of that stuff. So it is what it is. So that's a philosophy change. Now, I agree with Jules. I need a weapon, but my problem is this. We all know the Cowboys love to say we take the best player available. But my question will be this. Okay, you're taking the best player available, but let's just say, for instance, because Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State, even though I'd say we don't draft, we're not in the business looking for a tight end. But what if he is the best player available at the time?
You gotta also, I like to put this spin on it too. It's the best player available when you at that period in your team.
Yeah.
You're not always there, and then you want to do best player available at position of need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So me personally, I think Tyler Warren is an X factor, kind of like what's my guy from Detroit, the tight end from Detroit.
Laporte.
Yeah, like Sam Laporta, like those kind of tight ends. Well, I put it like this: if you draft Tyler Warren, the defensive coordinator gonna say, okay, we got to find CD, and we got to find Tyler Warren. So if you can say that. Whoever has the biggest target on their back, that's who I would take. So if it's Tyler Warren, he's the best player available, but Luther Burden is there too, or someone else is there too, I would just say, me personally, if I was in the draft room, I would just, I had to tap my dad on the shoulder and say, hey man, make a pick.
Yeah.
Because
talk about it.
Let me say one thing before we wrap up. Here's the concern that we got to have for the Cowboys, and this goes to Stephen and McClay. I think Stephen and McClay, they're the ones that they're drafting the players.
Yeah.
So there's a rumor going around that they like Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Mississippi. Okay, so going back to what Big Time said, their philosophy is sometimes they're really big on taking defensive linemen, offensive linemen. They're just not really concerned about having weapons. That's why they probably right now they think Mingo is a number 2 or number 3 receiver. We know he's not. So for them to, just kind of have an out of body experience, if they take a weapon, as we hope they do, that's kind of what's happening there. So, but it would not shock me at all if we get to 12 Big Time and Ted is there, Genty is there, and what do? They reach and they draft Walter Nolan. They've done it before. They have a history of doing that. That's exactly what they did when they drafted Mozzie. That's exactly what they did when they drafted Schoon and Guyton. There were just tons of people that said they should not take Guyton where they took him. There were much better players there, and they reached and took Guyton. And now we're talking about Guyton trying to switch sides. He's tapping out of games. So to your point, Nuke, we know that we need a weapon, but we absolutely better be ready for them at that 12 pick, just taking somebody, and we see that name announced, so we're just like, what just happened here? How did they come up with this guy? That's an absolute possibility.
They wouldn't want to fire. Well, it makes no difference. They wouldn't want to deal with Cowboy Nation if they did that. Not with all them choices that they're there. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. Because, see, that's what they do. I even throw one more name they reached on, but they got lucky and hit on it. And that was Tyler Smith. Remember, he was really a second round grade guy. They reached and got him. Of course, it turned out that, Tyler Smith is what he is. A great player. Look like he's on a high trajectory to really a Hall of Fame type guy.
He's the leader of the offense now.
Yeah, he is. I mean, and it turned out well for him on that pick. But they drafted that, and the draft of Mozzie Smith kind of looks the same. They reached.
They did.
They reached for Tyler, but it turned out well. But then they reached for Mozzie, and we still wait.
If you're gonna be a draft and develop team, you cannot miss on this draft. But they do constantly. So I'm hoping, I have optimism that with the new coaches coming in and how they kind of trying to emphasize running the ball. Shotty went and got some of the great, offensive line coach that had a good running back scheme, and the offensive coordinator that had a good scheme. I'm hoping that they're going to give these guys some weapons to work with, and I'm hoping that the coaches, they can't be feeling like how Steven and Will McClay has been feeling. They have to come in and they probably be thinking like we thinking, we need weapons. And so I'm just hoping that that's what they do.
Let me say this, and see that what Iman B put here. I left it up there so I wouldn't forget. That's the type of reaching that we're talking about. I don't know have y'all guys done mock drafts on y'all show?
We do them every show.
Okay, so the highest guard, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I use Pro Football Focus, I believe.
We do
their draft simulator.
Yeah.
And the only person that's up there is I'm saying as a guard is Booker from Alabama. That's it. I think they got him ranked the 14th guard. Not the 14th best player, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me say this to Iman. Iman, also, I agree with you. We need to focus on offensive line.
It ain't got to be in the first.
It ain't got to be in the first, and it don't have to be in the draft at all.
Yeah.
Why can't they? They do have other avenues. They can look at.
That's that tree you was talking about.
Exactly.
That's the other tree.
Exactly. They can use the other tree.
They looking at Will. They're talking about Will Hernandez. He would be a good free agent. And I was just going to piggyback on that new Booker, Vach Lombardi, who I have a lot of respect for. Shout out to Vach. They like Booker, but they don't like him at 12.
No. Right. I mean, it's going to be way too many other guys there. When you start talking about best player available, he's not at 12. I mean,
now if you trade back and get him, that's cool.
No.
Yeah, but check it out though. These are the kind of moves that the Cowboys have made.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to be the smartest guy in the room. And they're trying to make a dollar out of 15 cents. And that's what messed everything up. So we have already figured, Iman, that we do need to get old line play, especially since Zach did retire. We know we have to do that. But it ain't got to be at number 12.
Yeah.
You can go get that later on.
And we don't need a draft and development guy at our left tackle, which is what you got now.
Yeah.
You got to have somebody come in, and what I would say about Tyler Smith is we watch a lot of film preparing for the draft. When I watch film of Tyler Smith, even though he was a little bit of a reach, his film jumped off the screen to me. He was dominating. He had a lot of penalties, but he was pancaking people.
Yeah.
When I watched film of Tyler Guyton before the draft, I was saying there's just no way in the world they could draft this guy, and it's exactly what they did. So, but yeah, I think that they have to. We kind of got an idea. Content creators, yourself, we kind of know what players are going to be there. We know what the board should look like. Unfortunately, what Steven and McClay do, they do that thing where they think they're the smartest guy in the room, and it goes back to what I said earlier. sometimes we just have to have an honest conversation that these guys don't really know what they're doing.
Wow.
Like prime example, Cooper BB. When you watch Cooper BB college tape, it jumps off the screen.
It jumped off,
He
yeah.
was pancaking guys.
Killing people.
Now Tyler Guyton didn't look like that, and they
Finesse.
played. They both were rookies on this line this year, and who had a better year, y'all?
Yeah. You
So-
know what time it is. Yeah. So when you start thinking about that, that's why I agree at the beginning when Jules said, listen, you just can't mess up 12. I mean, this is too easy of a pick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you're gonna have so many choices. You just can't mess this up. And trying to be the smart guy in the room will mess up 12 if you mess, if you go that route.
Right.
So I'm in total agreement with you guys that we need to do, they say NFL is a copycat league.
Mm-hmm.
Well, go on, copy.
Yeah, why not?
Go copy.
Yeah.
Just copy. It don't make any sense to try to be different. Go ahead and copy. You tried to be different from the draft and developmental stage for years. Everybody else say y'all can have that.
Especially if the person that you copying off of is making A's.
Yes. Yeah, you making C's and D's. Stop
Yeah.
it. And you making the F's. You making
Yeah,
the
and
F's
what
in
they-
some spots. See what I'm saying? So,
And what Jerry
go ahead.
needs to do, guys, we call it best practices, the company that I work for.
Mhm.
We were just notorious. We would go and find a mom and pop operation down the street and we would bring them in. And you know how good Chick-fil-A is right now
Yeah.
with their structure?
Mhm.
We would bring in a company like that, a smaller company, and then we would just implement what they were doing. And then FedEx would adopt that just company-wide.
Wow.
Jerry Jones, tonight at his mansion, he needs to bring someone in that can just simply say, let's look at the Chiefs. Let's look at the Ravens. Let's look at the 49ers. Let's look at the Eagles. Let's just do what they do. It's really simple. It's not complicated.
Mm-mm.
It's just that's where we need to be. And the crazy thing is he hasn't been able to figure that out in 30 years. So either you're just clueless, you're not good at your job. Big time, you can appreciate this. When we grew up, stupid was a bad word. Your grandmama and your mom there, but you said somebody
was
was
almost
stupid,
like a
they would
curse
stop you
word.
in your track and say you can't.
Yeah.
It was a curse word.
Yeah.
The new word for this date and time is incompetence.
Mm-hmm.
When you say somebody's incompetent, it kind of makes you feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta have this conversation about
Yeah.
it exactly. So we gotta have this conversation about there's a little bit of incompetence happening with this franchise. It's a little bit of they don't really study what they're doing. They don't look at analysis. They don't look at the trends.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of arrogance. It's a little bit of incompetence.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are. We got 30 years no NFC Championship game. I told my son he's 35. When I was 35 years old, the Cowboys had played in 8 Super Bowls, and they had played in, I believe, 17 NFC Championship games. So just think about that. When I was 35, they had played in 8 Super Bowls, 17 NFC Championship games. He's 35. He hasn't seen a NFC Championship
Not
game.
one.
None.
Yeah. That's the difference.
Think about that.
That's
Everybody, I want to say this. Everybody that's watching the show from Gen to Gen Cash, y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to Big Time Show. We big time supporters of Big Time Show, and we know, and you can literally just pop on his YouTube and just roll. That's how informative his show is. I mean, like I said, we've been listening to his show for a very long time, and so you already know. Make sure you all like and give him a follow and subscribe to his channel, please.
And I appreciate that, and the same into the Big Time Show family, wherever you're watching from. I don't know if you're on TikTok. I don't think they had. Do y'all guys have a TikTok?
We
No?
do. It's the
Y'all
same
do.
as the show. It's Gen to Gen Cast.
There you go.
GEN2 GENCAST.
All right, you just heard that. If you're on TikTok, then you can go there as well and follow them there. But if you're on YouTube, listen, you need to follow these guys again. If you're part of the Big Time Show family, they have a great show, very informative. As you can tell, straight to the point, no sugarcoating. That's the kind of people I like. Usually the reason why I've done pretty decent in this game is because I appeal to more of the older crowd, being that I'm 52. And the 52, when you get our age, we ain't got time to be playing around. It's straight to the point.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I've done well. But Jules here is much younger than me and his father. And he you can see he kind of like us. Straight time. Keystone, you ain't got to worry about that. I've been saving you. I just ain't got in touch with you. Keystone, you got to come because as we get close to the draft, it's your time to shine.
Keystone, that's my dog. Shout out to Keystone.
Okay, so look, he know the whole draft. I don't know if y'all familiar with his work, but he knows guys we don't even know about. So if you ever need a guy, a draft guru, Keystone is your guy. Keystone, you coming on the show as we get closer to the draft. You know how we'll do it. I'll get in touch with you on that part. So what are their names? Here's the name of their show, Greg. Greg is one of my loyal followers as well. This is the name of their YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm right on that. That is it. Just go on YouTube and follow them, giving them your subscription. I guarantee you will be informed and entertained at the same time. So again, I'll leave that up there. Follow these two here, man. And this won't be the last time that I have them. As we get closer to free agency and the start of it and the draft, a lot of the content creators have already kind of committed to each other about coming together for the voice, putting all these channels together where we'll have about 20 different channels going at the same time and just dominate with all these different voices. You're starting to see a little example that closer and closer. Keystone, you down with Boss Cowboy, and all these guys, Boss already has the final word and all that type of stuff. But you're about to see a whole bunch of people starting to get together now because we need to send a message because they listening. I know they heard me one time. I was shocked to see a player follow me at the time. CD Lamb follows me. Whether y'all guys didn't know that or not, see that because of my affiliation. His wide receiver coach at Oklahoma, Coach Dennis Simmons, who they're now at USC. Me and him play football together here in Memphis. So CD followed me quick. I don't mean he come listen to my show every time. I'm just saying he followed me. So you know what I'm saying? But that lets you know that players are listening. You just never know your show who eyes is going to get on. They may not comment. They may not push the like button. They may not do it. So that's why we're all getting together now and starting to go ahead and get things together so we can send a message to Cowboys, and we need to do it quick because we're tired of this foolishness. As my frat said, it's incompetence that we're seeing. It ain't hard. Restructure the deals. Create cap money. It's not hard. Get the best player at 12. You're not really going to draft this high often. When you do, you need to hit a home run. That's what I'm saying. So this is really not hard. Don't make this thing harder than what it actually is. It's really that simple, but this Dallas and this is Jerry and Steven. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have been informed. I hope you liked it. I really appreciate my brothers coming in. I'm going to let them have the last word. Here's another content creator, the great Sports Junkie. Sports Junkie, I need you to follow these two guys here, Generation. This is a father and son duo here. Generation Cowboys and Sports Talk. Follow them, Sports Junkie, and then y'all follow him. He is a dynamic guy. Has a great show. Him and my other friend, the Angry Cowboy Fan, they have a Facts Over Feelings podcast together. Then they do their own individual thing. So they are, it's just time for the content creators just to link up and let's attack this thing. Sports Junkie, I'm going to call you and Angry, and we all need to get on here. Shoot, I almost need to bring all y'all back on here. We can have about 10 of y'all in here and go to work. That's the way I feel it now. It's going to be hard talking over each other, but we'll make it work somehow. You know what I'm saying? So this has been a great night. Put their chat in the link.
Put that
Put
link.
their link, I'm sorry, in the chat. Can you do that? I don't know, but
I'm gonna send you the link on our link on Messenger.
okay, I got you. Do that now. And I can go ahead and type that in before we leave. Nope. Go ahead and close. Now go ahead and give me your final thoughts. Then we'll switch it to you, son, and then I'll shut it down and we can have a good night's sleep since we done vented.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate that, and once again, appreciate you having us on your show. We've been big fans of yours for a long time, and we're brothers, fraternity brothers for life, for sure.
Yes, sir.
And I was going to say shout out to Boss Cowboy. Boss Cowboy and I went to the same high school, Carter, Dallas Carter. So
Oh, man.
we're Cowboys for life. So we're Carter Cowboys and we're Dallas Cowboys for life. So shout out to Boss. But yeah, again, appreciate you having us on. And we absolutely look forward to doing more shows with you and doing some collaboration with some other people with you as well. So,
yes, sir.
Once again, we appreciate you having us on.
Appreciate you, man. Jules, what's up, Doc?
Yeah, we just same thing my dad said. Appreciate you from having us on, and like I said, I'm telling everybody, I listen to your show. I listen to y'all OGs, and I'm just blessed that y'all give me the floor sometimes, so to vent, like you said. So I appreciate y'all, both of y'all, and y'all make sure everybody, like I said, that's watching the show, especially from Gen to Gen Cash, y'all make sure y'all follow Big Time for sure.
Appreciate y'all, man, so much. Listen, this has been a great show, and we'll definitely have to do this again. And as I said before, all the content creators in here, thank y'all for popping in. And to those that are going to watch this a little bit later on, I appreciate all of you guys coming in. The Big Time Show family, Generation family. Hey, it's just a start of a nice little off season and going into the next season as well. The more we come together, the more powerful it is, without a doubt. So this is just the beginning. This won't be the last time you see these two gentlemen here, at least on my show, for sure. And we're gonna get it really popping, really within these next month and a half, 2 months. It's really fit get crazy because the content creators, I said before, I don't mean to sound repetitive, but it's really true. Since we know they're watching, since we know they're listening, we might as well say something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We
might, since they're watching and since they're listening, then we might as well just go ahead and say something, because we're not working for the Dallas Cowboys. Right. We're all independent, which means we can say whatever we want to say, however the way we want to say it, and we don't have no problems with it. It's just that simple. We don't work for the Cowboys. We love the Cowboys, but we're not owned by Jerry and all that type of stuff. So we say what we need to be said. It's just that simple. So I appreciate everybody again popping in on it. Sports Junk, I put their link in the chat. I believe, yeah, I did. It's there. This is the link.
And I think you can just type in Gen to Gen Cast too, right, Jules?
Yeah, you can. You can type in GEN, the number 2, GEN CAST, and it'll pop right up.
Yeah, everybody again, go subscribe to my guys here. Great duo here. Very informative. Have a great show, and you guys will be informed by that. So by them, I'm sorry. So again, thank you guys for hanging with me. I appreciate y'all too, hanging with me on tonight. This is my second show for the day, and I'm glad I had it with you guys. I should have had y'all on earlier, but we had a lot of stuff. I had a lot of stuff going on this morning, so I just went in and did mine. Glad you guys could hang with me. This would not be the last. Y'all make sure y'all tune. What days do y'all come on? Or y'all do live or y'all just do videos? I'm sorry.
We do both. We do both. We've been doing live lately. So really our days that we go on is really every other day, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Oh wow.
And then we do Saturday nights. We do Saturday nights a lot.
Okay. So they're very busy, y'all. So you can't miss them. If you subscribe to them, you can't miss them. Go ahead and sign in on them. I guess this counts as they Saturday evening show tonight. So we were able to hook up everything. They didn't miss anything by being on my show. Their channel is going right now. Just a combination of all the channels coming together. So glad to have you guys with me. Frat, you know, we're going to keep on talking and we're going to keep doing it. Jules, glad to have you, man, as always.
Yes,
We
sir.
out of here, man. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you. I'll see you for the Big Time show on Monday night at 7 p.m. All right. We'll talk about some of the stuff some more. We might do a mock draft again on Monday. And then I might just keep hammering the Jones family about them changing. Lisa, you know, you can't ask for it all. Jesus, change something. Good Lord, change something. You know, I'm sick of this mess, man. All right, we out, man. Let me stop talking. I got to, at least I don't have to preach in the morning, so I can give out all my voice right now. We out of here.
All
Ladies
right.
and gentlemen,
Okay.
on behalf of the Generations to Generations podcast and the Big Time show, we out of here. We'll see you on Monday night. We'll holler. This has been the Gen and the Big Time show.